Hello everyone, I'm Simon Dean, the project lead on Folktale, and today I'm here to present to you our vision for Sandbox. Before I do, I'd like to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for supporting us during early access. You've completely blown us away. I'll openly admit that such an amazing response caught us a little bit by surprise, and in the first weeks we really struggled under a deluge of feedback, suggestions and support requests. Thanks to your support and involvement, we've been able to fix many of the critical problems in the 3 patches we've published since launch. With normality starting to return, the team have now had a chance to sit down and review all the great feedback and ideas that you shared with us. I'll be discussing some of those topics here today. Just a couple of quick points that I need to clarify first. This is a forward-looking presentation discussing features and content not yet implemented in the game as of June 2013. If you are watching this video several months after it was published, it would be worth searching for more recent videos to see what we've added. Folktale's still in development, and we strongly believe in working closely with you to help shape the final game. As such, details discussed in this presentation may not be representative of features and content in the final game. This presentation is by no means an exhaustive list of all the features and content we have planned for Folktale. It's a starting point representing the combined current thinking of the community, which includes us, the developers. Folktale will be in early access for at least a year, and at the time of writing should be considered an early alpha. If you're considering buying the game during the discounted period, we encourage early access to be considered a journey that you take with us to help shape and arrive at a polished end game. So without ado, let's take a look at what you can expect in future updates. Here's a table of contents to help you fast forward to the parts you are most interested in. Alternatively, grab a snack and a cool drink and kick back while I present the Sandbox vision. To understand how we prioritise features and content, I need to introduce you to the layers of the Folktale cake. At the heart of the engine layer is the Unity engine that provides optimised low-level code that talks to your operating system to communicate directly with your hardware. Unity is a mature and robust multi-platform engine, allowing us to launch Folktale not only on PC, Mac and Linux, but potentially other platforms such as consoles or mobile devices. The terrain system, location and world editors, as well as loading and saving, are part of the foundation layer on which the entire Sandbox game is being built, so it's essential we develop it to be really easy to use and rock solid. I'd like to take the opportunity to apologise to you all for not including the ability to save in the tutorial. It was always our intention to include it very early on in Sandbox development, but with hindsight we should have tried to include that sooner. On top of the foundation layer we add systems. Systems handle different aspects of gameplay, including moving characters around, getting them to fight, loot items and the bonuses that they apply, special abilities and questing. Systems are the invisible glue that binds the game together. The top tier of the cake is the content layer. This is the audio-visual content that is presented to you as a player. Content includes buildings, characters and monsters, loot icons, voice acting, text, visual effects and audio including sound effects and the soundtrack. Content is the most visible of the layers. So that's the cake, much of which is already in place in the tutorial. To support Sandbox, we need to add some new parts to the foundation layer. Until these parts are finished, we can't begin to roll out Sandbox previews or migrate the tutorial across to the new system, so naturally this has the highest priority. You might well ask about existing issues with the tutorial. We recognise that players participating in early access are interested in different things. In an attempt to provide something for everyone, in each major update we'll be looking to include the following. Major feature previews such as the new terrain system, location and world editors that appeal to players wanting to tinker with the game and design worlds. System improvements such as user interface, combat, pathfinding, memory usage and save games included in both the tutorial and Sandbox game that improves the quality of gameplay. And finally, content included in both the tutorial and Sandbox, including loot items, special ability visual effects, traps, new buildings and characters, expanding the quantity of gameplay. In Folktale, we not only want you to be able to design and build a living, breathing medieval fantasy town, we want you to be able to create entire worlds. That process starts with the world editor. Selecting from a broad choice of base maps, you'll be able to populate your world by dragging and dropping from the list of locations. Locations are designed in the location editor and will include locations designed by us, your own location designs if you're feeling creative, or ranked community created locations that you can download. Locations could be anything from dungeons to raid to full AI controlled cities. Example locations found in the tutorial include the Goblin Swamp, the Monastery of the Mangy Wolf and the volcanic Old Forge. Once you've designed your world, you can dive in and play, or share it with your friends and the Folktale community. One of the first enablers that we need to work on is the location editor, which includes an overhaul of the terrain system and the loading and saving system. While the terrain system in the tutorial looks great, it doesn't easily support a friendly way of allowing you to design your own locations, and has a few technical issues. We've been working on migrating to a more modular approach based on Lego style building blocks, where pieces of terrain can be grouped and snapped together. In time, we'll migrate the tutorial across to the new system, at which point we'll enable saving. The location editor won't be limited to just placing and rotating design kit pieces. You'll be able to set up AI players and behaviours, special locations, exterior and interior locations, such as designing your own dungeons. Of course, all of this won't arrive in just one update. It's a lot of work, and we would like your feedback on ways that we can improve it. When playing the tutorial, you will hopefully recognise the limitless potential that we have within Folktale. It's impossible for us to deliver the entire scope of the sandbox quickly and in one go, nor would we want to, because we want the community to be involved in helping shape the game. Once we've previewed foundation layer features, including the location editor, in the first major release, in the second major release we aim to expand and refine our systems. To help keep updates fresh and hopefully keep you engaged during development, we're going to take an approach of releasing Sandbox as a series of mini-games designed to test and refine systems. Our first game will be a tower defense simulation where you defend a pre-built town. Your objective will be to defend the town from waves of attackers. The objective of the first minigame is to test things like city wall placements, pathfinding on city walls, pathfinding through open and closed portcullis, and enemy attacking involving scaling and breaching city walls, and defences including traps and rampart defences such as catapults. Other planned minigames include your first dungeon raid and dynamic storytelling within the city walls. Hopefully you'll enjoy each minigame, and we hope they lead to lots of great new ideas. Let's take a closer look at how your town might evolve. I've grouped buildings by colour. Aqua blue buildings are basic resources, some of which can be found in the tutorial, such as iron ore and stone. We plan to add a hunting ground for meat, shoals of fish for fishing, and a cesspit for night water. Night water is your villager's pee. Urine was used in the American Civil War to manufacture huge quantities of potassium nitrate, the main ingredient in gunpowder. With the addition of charcoal and sulphur, your village idiots will have everything they need to make firearms and cannon. Water from the well will be used in a number of processes, including farming and potion making, as well as being used to extinguish fires. Green buildings are your resource refineries where basic resources are converted into consumables such as wooden planks, iron ingots, leather hides and smoked fish. They also train early stage characters such as the Hunter, which is your ranged crossbow class that can also be used in adventuring groups. Blue buildings use consumables to manufacture finished goods, including bread, sausages, mead, potions and gunpowder. Purple buildings are advanced or multi-purpose buildings that unlock advanced character classes such as thieves, witches and engineers, and advanced items such as traps and defences and firearms. Finally, we've added grey buildings which have been considered for inclusion, and we welcome community debate over their scope. They include the Magistrates for exacting punishment on your subjects, the Academy for researching advanced crafting recipes, and the Beast Pit for taming monsters to control as your own. This isn't necessarily a final list of buildings, merely current thinking. Hopefully after watching this presentation you'll be brimming with ideas that we hope you'll share with us in the discussion forums. As you might expect, one of the most desired features in city building games is the ability to upgrade your buildings. Our plan for Folktale is to include 3 building upgrade tiers. Tier 1 is the basic building form. It's the cheapest to build, made from thatch, wattle and daub and wooden beams. It doesn't have much space, so it can only support a handful of specialists and only a few interior workbenches. Only early stage crafting recipes are possible, and Tier 1 buildings can only house apprentice level specialists, which I'll come on to later. Tier 2 develops as your town's wealth expands. The buildings support more specialists, more interior space for workbenches, and more advanced crafting recipes. Tier 2 buildings can also support artisan level specialists. Tier 3 is the largest and most costly upgrade. It houses the most specialists, a full complement of workbenches, and is capable of crafting all known recipes. Tier 3 buildings can also support master level specialists. In the tutorial, it's possible to walk inside the small building interiors. After much deliberation, we plan to move to something akin to instanced interiors that you might be familiar with from RPGs or MMOs. This is a controversial decision that does have an impact on immersion. However, let me present the benefits. Firstly, we can employ the TARDIS effect, where the interiors of buildings are much bigger than they appear when looking at the building exterior. This provides a much needed space for characters and fine detail that has a positive impact on immersion. The extra space also allows us to include access points to in-town dungeons, for example city sewers and cellars, providing greater flexibility for storytelling and questing. We can add workbench improvements as another way to customising and upgrading your buildings. In the bakery, for example, a dough kneading table increases the rate at which bread can be made. Some advanced recipes may require certain workbenches. And finally, it allows us to implement smart AI for frame rate management, controlling the number of villagers out walking the streets. Lower specification machines can enjoy better frame rates by keeping more villagers indoors, while higher specification machines can support more villagers walking around on the streets. So while having to walk through a portal in a doorway may reduce immersion, we believe there is a greater positive impact on immersion to counter it. One of the essential features of any good city builder strategy game are economy chains. At the moment, the tutorial is fairly simple. With Sandbox, we'll be introducing complex supply chains if you plan to make the most of some of the more advanced character classes and goods. Let's take the process of firearms. Not only will you need to make pistols, but also gunpowder. The process starts with the collection of basic resources. The pistol requires wood and iron, shot requires iron, while gunpowder requires manure, charcoal, night water, and sulphur. Sulphur is an exotic basic resource, only available through the Gypsy Bazaar or by adventuring in volcanic regions and harvesting sulphur crusts. Sulphur supply in the bazaar may be extremely limited, so if you plan on supporting a number of firearm-based heroes, you'll have to head out into the wilds with a party of adventurers. The bushels of wheat are separated into wheat grain and straw in the windmill. The straw can then be used by the stables to create manure. Manure and night water make potassium nitrate, which when combined with charcoal and sulphur at the apothecary building produce gunpowder. You might want to add potency to shot by having the witches and warlocks of the Crooked Kettle enchant them for you. That way they'll do even more damage when they hit. We'll be introducing a number of new character professions with Sandbox to go with the expanded building list. Here we have the male and female baker concepts. In time, both male and female villagers will be able to take up professions as the art team complete the character models and animations. This has always been the plan, as we pointed out almost immediately following launch. The only reason females aren't trainable in the tutorial as say militia is because the female militia character hasn't been created yet, just like the male innkeeper character hasn't been created yet. As your specialists go about their work, they earn experience and level up. To begin with, specialists are considered apprentice level, inexperienced and only able to craft simple items. Upgrading their building to tier 2 will allow an apprentice to become an artisan, unlocking new crafting options. Artisans continue to earn experience while working, but at a much slower pace. Crafting more complex items will allow an artisan to level up more quickly, and with building tier 3, become a master. Masters present in a building will bestow extra bonuses. Heroes are the true adventuring classes in Folktale. While it's possible to take woodcutters out into the wild as axemen, as your game progresses you'll really want to be developing heroes who are much better equipped to deal with the perils found in the deepest and darkest of dungeons. In Sandbox you can start hiring heroes by building a tavern. Each hero has special abilities matching their intended roles within an adventuring group. Knights have leadership and crowd control abilities, priests have heals and buffs, and bards are support characters. Thieves are handy at stealth, detecting and disarming traps, and unlocking rare chests, and highwaymen are great at ranged fire. The hero system provides a limitless path for us to keep introducing new characters, and in time we hope to add some very interesting hero types. Camphry, for example, in time will become a pyromancer. Having hired your first hero, how do you go about making them more powerful? As you lead a party into dungeons, killing monsters, completing tasks, and overcoming challenges, you will generate experience allowing your heroes to level up over time. At level 1, you can choose to unlock one of 5 abilities by spending an ability point. This will turn the first of 4 grey boxes below the skill icon from grey to gold. Achieving level 2 will provide an extra ability point, which can be spent unlocking a new ability or increasing the potency of an existing ability. By level 20, your hero will have maxed out his or her skills. Loot! 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 It's all about the loot! Well, at least it is for RPG fans. Firstly, we recognise it's annoying when you equip your hero in the tutorial only to have them die, taking your hard-won loot with them to the grave. In Sandbox, we'll be leaving behind their lootable corpse pile, allowing you to reclaim their gear. The inventory and character sheet system in the tutorial is very much work in progress, and as such, loot tooltip descriptions and effects will be added and expanded as we progress with development. Many of you have asked for us to change the visible appearance of characters to reflect the loot you've given them. We'll explain why this isn't completely possible in a few slides' time. What we're hoping to achieve is partial customization, where any weapons and helmets equipped by the character is reflected on their body. As hinted to by the presence of the transmute buttons, you'll be able to convert unwanted loot into more useful basic resources and crafting ingredients. Alternatively, you can sell unwanted items at the Gypsy Bazaar for gold. We'll continue to allow corpses to be looted without having to have a character nearby. We plan to make it easier to loot corpses, including area looting, where by opening one corpse, we'll also display all the loot items available on other corpses in the immediate vicinity. Chests will continue to require players to have a character present, with the addition of a timer to prevent you raiding chests while being attacked. There must also be no monsters nearby. We're also considering adding loot sets with compound bonuses, but that's still being considered and wouldn't be added until much later. Hopefully you'll have loved some of the characters and story we introduced in the tutorial campaign to set the tone of the world of Folktale. Moving away from linear campaign mode to Sandbox presents an interesting set of challenges, including how we incorporate humour into a dynamic storytelling framework. Thankfully we have some smart guys on the team, a talented and wacky writer in Pete, one of our voice actors Sean is a stand-up comedian, and the voice actors we've been working with have been great at expanding their characters beyond the initial scripts. Essentially, we'll set up a number of mini-stories that may comprise one or more cinematics in a series. Depending on the outcome of the storyline, other storylines may be unlocked. We're breaking stories into macro, micro, and random. Macro stories drive the main storyline, with the outcome of each macro story determining what new stories become available to you as a player. A macro story consists of a number of micro stories, which in turn comprise a series of quests that will result in your faction standing changing, ultimately determining the outcome of the macro story. Let's take the Thieves in the Night storyline as an example, involving a plot to steal a prized diamond. As a player, you can take the lawful path and align yourself with the City Watch, uncovering the Thieves Guild plot and setting a trap for them. Alternatively, you may choose the path of chaos, joining the Thieves Guild in distracting the City Watch while stealing the diamond from under their noses. Depending on the outcome, you may receive commendation from the City Watch in Pride of the Watch, or be asked to prove your loyalty to the Thieves Guild in Honour Among Thieves. Each story follows a cause and effect model with implications for city management. Finally, random events are unrelated to the storyline, designed to challenge you in some way and providing a brief interlude.
Dungeons.
When playing the tutorial, you'll have encountered 5 distinct but compact environmental zones, ranging from the grassy pastures of the human village to the searing heat of the volcanic Old Forge. We did this to flesh out the art style of the world of Folktale, to provide you with a feel for how the wider world beyond your town walls might look. One thing we really wanted to add while developing the tutorial was dungeons to plunder. Dungeons will provide great opportunities for boss battles with epic loot drops, as well as scavenging for those rare crafting ingredients needed to craft the more powerful items. What we'd really like to do is allow you to capture resources that might not be available within the vicinity of your town, securing a regular flow of, say, iron, or even perhaps rarer metals such as mithril. Of course, you might expect that your enemies also desire those resources, so we're considering allowing you to leave a small garrison behind to defend the resources, preventing enemies from fortifying any positions. Whether this works or not gameplay-wise is something we'll just have to try and see. Rightfully, many of you have expressed that a better way to discover idle peasants as well as specialists is badly needed. A special user interface has always been planned for this, but wasn't included in the tutorial. Based on your feedback, we've increased the feature's importance so that it gets added sooner rather than later. Some players have requested we add children, marriage and ageing into Folktale. We'd previously considered this but decided against it. Folktale has a lot of content that needs to be loaded into a limited amount of system memory. An important factor in deciding whether a feature is added or not is how much it contributes to gameplay. Children wouldn't be able to do much other than potentially getting whacked by invading hordes until they come of age, although hereditary skills would be a very nice touch. Having occupational adults suddenly die of old age isn't desirable from a gameplay perspective either, so we'd have to introduce retirement and a period of old age. While in modern society retired folk live active lives and contribute huge amounts to society, that doesn't always translate into games where we don't have the system memory to simulate such contributions. One option would be to allow eternal natural life. We can't, however, leave population growth unchecked. This would consume system memory and lead to game crashes. This could, however, be addressed by children only being born where there is excess population capacity, made available by constructing additional buildings, and the population becoming unhappy if there was no housing. The jury is still out on the feature and we welcome further debate. By popular request, we will, however, be providing the option to rename your villagers. If you're an RPG fan, you may have expressed a desire to see the visual representation of characters change as you equip new loot. We've given a good amount of thought to this, including provisional research and development prior to launch. However, as a multi-genre game, we have to take into account other aspects of gameplay. For example, one of the most important aspects of RTS games is for a player to very quickly spot different unit types. But if we allow each character to look different, that becomes a problem. We could look to UI to provide a solution, but that may just lead to screen clutter. Next, consider the city builder aspects of gameplay, where you can keep constructing new buildings and more immigrants arrive to the village. In RPG and MMO games featuring complete customization, the world is usually predetermined and includes instanced public places to prevent too many players congregating in one spot. This is so that memory, which is finite, can be managed. Each customized character requires its own texture map, and your graphics card only has a finite amount of memory. To further compound memory constraints, DirectX 9C also requires graphic card memory to be replicated in addressable system memory. For players with 4GB of RAM, that's a big problem. So we're proposing a compromise. Characters will have variations of hair, faces, and in the cases of peasants, clothes and body shapes. For occupational characters, however, they will wear a common uniform at all times for easy recognition. However, equipping weapons will be reflected on the character. This is sure to be a controversial decision, and we welcome any suggestions that we may not have considered that would help us get around the technical constraints of limited memory. The issue of left or right click has cropped up a fair few times in forum posts. In the early stages of development, we followed RTS convention of left click to select, right click to move or interact. Unfortunately, we discovered this conflicted with a free-moving camera control system, so it was changed. This has led to some understandable frustration among RTS fans. The control system will continue to evolve throughout development, and with each change we'll be seeking your feedback. It may be that we need to provide an option to allow you to choose from a number of mouse profiles. RTS players more accustomed to using an overhead strategy cam could choose an RTS profile, while FPS players who prefer the stench cam could choose a mouse profile more suited to that mode. Ultimately, it's going to take some refinement and iteration. On the subject of game controllers, those players who experienced the spinning camera bug may have identified that some code was included early on to handle controllers, but then abandoned. The very first versions of Folktale were tested using a PS3 controller, which you might have picked up on if you considered the design of the construction options wheel. This was to make sure our design kept the option open for us to launch a console version of Folktale. Whether this is an achievable or desirable goal remains to be seen. There's a lack of strategy games on consoles for a very good reason. The minimap system in the tutorial is only very early stage. We'll be overhauling the minimap, and you can expect it to start behaving properly in future updates, including the much needed zoom levels. We plan to explore the use of colour to represent different units, but not in a multicoloured explosion that makes the minimap harder to read. Buildings will have their own icons, making it easier to find them. We'll explore supporting dragging of the minimap as a means of moving the camera around. M will bring up a full map of your current location. You'll also be able to unlock minimap rotation so that it spins around to orient the camera's direction. We've hired an experienced user interface developer with previous minimap experience who starts tomorrow with the intention of setting to work immediately on finishing both the inventory and minimap systems. This final part of the presentation is a summary of all the great community feedback you've provided to us in the 4 weeks since launching on Steam Early Access. Most speak for themselves, so rather than read each one, please use the pause button to review each of the 5 slides at your leisure. Hopefully you're as excited as we are about what we've got planned for Sandbox. This presentation not only serves as the product path for Folktale, but as a point of reference for our much broader engagement with you all. It's a living document and we'll be updating it to reflect your feedback throughout development. As we implement each feature, we might not always get it right. Our hope for early access is that collectively you'll let us know when a feature needs improving. Hopefully, if you've been frequenting the forums, you'll recognise our absolute commitment to involving you in the development process. Together, I have every confidence Folktale will become one of, if not the best game in its genre. On behalf of us all on the Folktale team, thanks for your support during early access.